My biggest mistakes in life, I had the gut like, this isn't me.
Yeah.
And so we don't follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we not follow that? And welcome to another edition of No Limits with Kristen Andre. I am here again with my sidekick, the marvelous Miss Mendoza. And today, you can be excited about this. Today we are talking about becoming you. So developing kind of a clear vision for you, your life, your future, and how you want to show up. So when I say that, when I say like your vision for you, what comes to mind?
Two things.
Okay.
Both how I am perceived.
Okay. Yep.
And how that matches up with how I would like to be perceived.
Got it. All right. So
almost
that's,
like in my
I'm glad
own
you
mind.
said.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad you said that because here's what I was thinking when I first started thinking about this. I was like, okay, I feel like it's changed over the years. Like my personality is, I'm what one would call a strong personality, right? A type A. I'm an Enneagram 8. I mean, I am all over the board, like strong personality.
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation with my dad, whether or not I've always been like that. And he's like, he thinks I've always had leadership qualities, but I've probably come out stronger as I got older.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this on the show before. It's because I'm given less of the F's today than I did in the past. So, when I think of it, it was truly a process of developing into the person that we wanted to be. So before we get into perceptions of others, because that was a big part of it, I think that's why it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think we find out? Because you're younger, you're still in the millennials. So how do we find that person? Like, how do we know when we found us? Because I think so many people do what you said and show up how they're focused on how they're perceived. I spent my entire life, but I mean, in the 70s, everybody acted the same. Girls were supposed to be quiet and pretty and not speak out of turn or anything like that. So I feel like I acted the way I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So it delayed coming into my own personality, developing who I am as a person.
Yeah. And
kind of a vision for what that person looks like, which also affected my business.
Yeah.
And relationships, which is what's crazy.
Right. It's true. Yeah.
So how do you find that person? Like it as a youngster, how are the youngins finding that person?
I typically judge it. It's a feeling.
Okay.
But when I say that, like, I go to bed with myself at night, right? Like there's nobody else in my brain.
Okay.
Thinking what I'm thinking.
Your husband might be there too, but whatever.
Yes, but like it's me here, right? Like nobody else is going through my thoughts. It's just me. So like at the end of the day, probably most of us, I mean, I do this, you're kind of laying there before you go to sleep and you're on your own mind, kind of assessing the day, right? Like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I should have handled this that way.
Okay.
And
how long is this assessment session taking? I'm like, girl, pour a glass of wine, just take a nap.
Probably like as I fall asleep.
Okay.
Especially
I just want you not up for hours. Like, what did I say? Because then we're going to have a therapy session.
In majority of the time, it's like if something happened in the day that wasn't expected, or maybe like a big presentation, right? Okay. You kind of go through and I would say it's more of a learning of like, what am I going to do maybe better next time?
But that's okay. I feel like that's okay. Is there any part of it where you're feeling like it wasn't your authentic self? And I think that's where it shows up for a lot of people. Like you get that pinch like, oh, that wasn't me.
And so that's where it is a feeling of confidence.
Okay.
Is the best way I know how to kind of sum that up, where you can like lay down at night and go, you know what? Yeah, I rock that.
Okay.
I did what I felt like needed to be done in the way that I feel like it should have been done.
And I think it's showing up the way you want. Because I feel like, and you tell me if you're guilty of this, I feel like I have a good sense of who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. And that took years to develop.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know when I'm out of alignment with that.
Yes.
And that's the part where, like, being clear in who you are as a person and knowing, how you show up, I think that helps to know when you're out of alignment. I'll give you an example. and this is bad. So you guys just, judge away. You're going to judge on this one anyway, but it is what it is. My kids, I have 3 girls, and one of my 3 tends to be a little bit more challenging at times than the other. And I will, if for those of you moms listening, like this is the mom thing we don't admit, but I will lose it, like out the wall, off the wall, totally lose it when she has crossed over that nerve, right?
Yeah.
And that's not me. Like I have yelled, I have cussed at my kid. I don't cuss on the air. I don't cuss professionally. Like if people know me, I make up silly words in place of cuss words. I will cuss at the kids. And I went to therapy for this. It's bad. But most of the moms I know, if you guys, the ones of you guys that don't admit this, y'all are lying to yourselves. But we have all had that moment where we have yelled and sometimes cussed at our kids because despite the perfect little angels and the blessings they are from God, they can get on your last nerve, right? But that's not me. And every time I do it, I go, oh, and I feel horrible. But I feel like, that's the most extreme example for me. But I feel like there's things like that where we're showing up professionally and personally, whether it's friends or clients or colleagues, where we leave the interaction and are just like, oh, it didn't feel good.
Yeah. Yes.
So I feel like those are the little nudges that are leading us to, is this me?
Right.
Is this really my authentic self? So have you had things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it very much develops in the same way.
Okay.
Where maybe something happened and I wasn't expecting it. And so, and it's usually sometimes it's other factors that play into that, right? Like maybe you didn't get enough sleep the night before. Yeah. And so your patience is a little bit less than it should be. You just kind of react away and you're like, oh, that's like just your saying of that's not me is the perfect statement, right? Or even if you've got a big presentation and you've prepared for it, but maybe that day you just weren't feeling it.
You weren't on.
Yeah. And so you didn't deliver it with the conviction that you would have liked to.
Yeah.
So, but it is a feeling of, that was me, or no, it wasn't.
Yeah. And that's where I feel, all right, so there's a couple, and this isn't what I was originally thinking and talking with this, but this is where I feel like as a society, we need to show a little more grace to people, because there's 2 areas. One, we've all had those days where we were off and we felt like crap and we didn't, and you'll hear those stories. It's like, if the guy that yells at you at the gas station, like maybe he had a friend pass away. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel often we don't extend enough grace to, and I'm totally guilty of this too. But I think first and foremost, it's extending grace. But more importantly than that, it's determining and admitting when we're having those days. Because I think so many of us try to be, it was to your earlier point of here's how I think I'm supposed to show up and how are people perceiving me. I think it's okay to just understand that some days are just not that. And it's okay to admit, hey, I'm really struggling because these kids are driving me nuts. Or, you know what, I didn't perform as well today because I just got ripped a new one by my boss.
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah. And we don't admit that. Those are the things we keep in.
Right.
So people don't realize that we're just having a crappy day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can we help each other with that? That's what I'd love to see. I would love to see people admit it. And I'll say with my girlfriend group, we admit, I get pushed back a lot online because I tend to be more positive online. I totally promote the highlight reel. I totally have bad crud that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
But I don't post that on social. That's my personal choice. I do share those things with my girlfriend group. So I still get it out and I still get feedback and I still get them saying, we're with you. Because I think it's so healthy to be able to say, man, things just suck today right now.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. And to understand that none of us are in there by ourselves. But sometimes I feel like we feel like, or people feel like, man, I'm in this battle alone.
Yeah. Well, that's, it speaks to earlier episodes where being mindful of who's in that group.
Yeah.
Because not everybody needs to know you had a sucky day.
I know. I don't. Well, that's why I don't post online.
Yeah.
Because I've had most people appreciate it. Most people are like, oh, you're so motivating and encouraging. I'm like, great. That's my goal.
Right.
My whole business is to empower and uplift women and business owners and people in finance and just get them loving life and loving their business. So why would I post crappy stuff?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm immune from it. It doesn't mean that, life is perfect.
Right.
I just choose to share it with my people that I'm intentional about, that I've carefully vetted, that I know that when I share things, I get honest feedback. They'll call me out for sure.
Yeah.
Like if I'm being a moron, they'll tell me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and on the flip side of that, they're
Which
the
they
ones,
tell me more often than I really. Maybe I need to more on less. I don't know.
Well, but to that point, I mean, on the flip side of that, if you have the right people in your circle, they will call you out.
Yep.
And then there are the ones that are not going to BS you when you don't need to be BS. Like, for example, maybe they happen to be in the group.
Yep.
Or the audience that you just presented to.
Yeah.
And you walk off the stage and you're like, I bombed that. And they're like, what are you talking about? You were fine. Because sometimes it's all, again,
it's all in your head.
Right? Yeah. So
we're our own worst critic.
We are.
For sure. I mean, for sure. Most people are. And that's okay, which is why you need that balance. But I think that part of coming into, becoming the person that you're meant to be is understanding that no one's perfect. I mean, no one's perfect. We all know that. I used to think I was. Some of my profiles have alluded to the fact that I think I am. I don't know. It's, I like to think my ideas are good ones, but sometimes they're not, so none of us are going to knock it out of the park all the time.
Right.
So I think you're right. It's just trying to figure out who are the people that are going to say, yeah, no, here's your realistic view. You didn't stink as bad as you thought you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a challenge though, because it's interesting. I feel like the older I've gotten, and I keep saying that like I'm 900 years old here, but the older I'm getting, I really care so much about what I feel.
Yep.
I care so much about what my very close friends that I know are my peeps. I care what they feel. I care what my kids feel. Ultimately, care what God. I mean, I'm here to do whatever God put me here to do. And as long as I'm living out my gifts and doing that, then I feel like, okay, now I know who I am and I can execute in that. But then all those little things come in. Well, and all the outside opinions and everything. That's what gets hard to manage for people.
I'll be 32.
Ooh.
In December.
Which totally means I could have been your mama.
And I remember
32. It's cute. It's cute, Whitney.
But I remember when I turned 30. Mm-hmm. And everyone does the whole, how does it feel? And my answer was, I like 30 better than I did 29, better than I did 20. Sure. And to your point of like, the older I get, I feel the same way too. But that's because you go through some stuff.
You go through stuff. I've been through stuff. There's been stuff. I went through more stuff later. My 20s, I was carefree in my 20s,
See,
I think.
I felt like I went through some stuff in my 20s.
Well, you're a mature 32. I was a very immature 32. I was an immature 42.
But you go through that you have to figure out what you like and what you don't like and what you're willing to put up with and what you don't.
Right, so that's a key thing right there that you said, what you like and don't like, what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. I will say this, it took me too long to learn that. So and you guys know I'll be 50 soon, and I'm loving it. Like, I am so freaking excited about turning 50. And I wish I would have learned that earlier. I wish I would have learned what I liked and what I didn't. And especially wish I would have learned what I'd tolerate and what I won't. Because that's the biggest difference, I think, in becoming you.
Yeah.
And I'm always so impressed. You guys know we've said this on here before. We're huge Rachel Hollis fans. What is most impressive, like, I'm like an older version of her. What's most impressive to me about her is that she has figured that out in her mid-30s, which I commend her. Like, that's, to me, the most impressive thing about her. She's built an empire. She's got all this stuff, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. The most impressive thing to me is the age at which she gained this wisdom. And that's just something that you have to learn. And life taught her, and I think life would have taught me sooner, too, had I listened to the nudges and the gut feels and all that stuff. Because I will say for sure, and I've said this before, the bonehead mistakes I made in my life, I had the gut feel at the beginning of every one of them. If I look at my biggest mistakes, I will not name them by name. We know who they are. Sure, you're not listening, but if you are, you know who you are. But my biggest mistakes in life, I had the gut like, this isn't me.
Yeah.
And so we don't follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we not follow that? Miss Wise, 32-year-old Whitney.
Sometimes I think we think we're going to prove something to ourselves when really the proof is in the listening. If you just trust yourself, right? Like, because I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've had those moments too. And even like in the middle of it, you're like, okay, you tried it. but I'm still telling you, you need to get out of this. No.
Yeah.
Let me give it a couple more months.
Yeah.
When and I've had those moments where I'm like, man, if I would have just listened to myself, I would have been 3 years ahead.
I'm no quitter. I keep making this bad mistake over and over again.
That's the other flip side too, is like, it's almost like you got to dip your toe in the water to really see, is this thing true? But really the lesson is learning to listen to yourself.
That's the thing. And that makes a big differentiator, because like some of the bonehead mistakes, my tribe is going, let's go for it. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they were pulling me the other way.
Yeah.
But the biggest ones were all internal. It was, and I would listen to outside forces more than I would listen to my gut. So, that's interesting. It's an interesting dichotomy, because you wonder, it's like, is it that you don't want to upset the outside forces? Are you trying to put up appearances? I think there's a lot of different reasons that people ignore their gut, but I think that's just a guidance system. I really do. I think kind of God put this little thing right in your belly that just said, and it's kind of the poke. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So if we need to listen to that, and it comes in a lot of different forms, relationally for sure. That's my bonehead mistakes. Relationally for sure, but business-wise too. I mean, I've definitely done business and taken on clients earlier in my career that I was like, I don't really jive with this person. I just don't think our values align. And they turned out to be nightmare clients.
Yeah.
But I should listen. So my thought is, when those gut things come, we need to check them for sure. We need to listen to them. But we probably need to start talking about them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we talk about that.
True.
We don't say, I had a gut feel, I shouldn't go. Because then people can go, okay, Whitney.
Yeah.
Let's go burn your incense and do
Yeah.
Which
it sounds frou-frou.
is fine. I like incense, but it sounds frou-frou. Yeah. And it's, I have a lot of coaches in my circle that are good friends of mine that I call them my woo-woo coaches. And I love the work that they do. I don't do that work. I'm definitely a head strategy type of person.
Yeah.
But they follow that so much. They're so good at being, and I've had several of them on the show, they're so good at being intuitive and listening to your intuitive voice. And I feel like those people, if I look at my group of friends and colleagues, they probably are the closest people to their true, authentic self, because they verbalize it a lot more.
Yeah.
So maybe we just need to start talking about it.
Yes. Yeah. And and I'm thinking through this in my mind as we're talking about it, because one of the phrases that I love that you say is forgive yourself, right? Like, fall, scrape your knee, forgive yourself. Stop, mess up, forgive yourself, move on. Because I've done this before too.
Yeah.
Where you get out of, we'll go down the relationship route. You get out of the relationship and you're like, I learned from that. Start dating someone else. See some of the same characteristics. And then you think in your mind, I'll make this one different.
Because you're trying to be a fixer.
Yes. You're not going to, and that's okay that you won't.
Totally
that
fine.
is okay that you say, you know what? I've seen these
done this.
Yes. I've seen this before.
Right.
And I'm not going to try it again. That's not you quitting or failing or giving up. That's you saying that's not the situation for me.
Well, and a lot of times, and this is why we listen to other people. So just as much as we listen to other people and who we think we should be, we also try to fix other people and what we see in them that isn't what we want them to be.
Yeah.
But so we're trying to be our authentic self. They're their authentic self too. Sometimes those two authentic selves don't work together. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we need to not let people try to fix us. I mean, I'm not talking about therapy or things like that, because I love my therapy. But we need to be our authentic selves. But if that's that person and it's not going to jive, because you'll keep seeing things. I mean, I truly feel like we get the same lesson over and over until we go, that's what I was supposed to learn, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like those, I'm thinking of the meme where it's like Tuesday night, you're like, I want to go out on Friday. And then you get to Friday and you're like, I just want to go home.
Jammies.
Yeah. Don't commit. If you know, like, look, Friday nights are usually not good for me because I'm tired, right? Like at the end of the week, my energy is different. Then don't commit to stuff on Friday night.
Know yourself.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a shirt.
Know yourself.
Know thyself.
Kind of like treat yourself.
It is like treat yourself. We're going to have the yourself versions.
Yes.
Okay. So
everything.
All right. So I think the know yourself it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then it's only when you know yourself that you can be in alignment to meet others, to interact with others personally and professionally, is, if if you know who you are, you'll attract the right people to you. And that's what I'm saying. It's what I love about, Rachel Hollis is that she's done that pretty well early. And does she have problems? I'm sure she does. She talks about them all the time. And I love the authenticity of that.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to figure out, all right, how can we all show some grace, be ourselves, and let others be themselves? And, I think if you do that, the right people find you.
Yeah.
The right clients find you, the right friends find you, the right dates find you.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't date though. Isaac might get mad. I don't date. So no, not dating. But for my, I have a lot, I've talked about this before. I have a lot of single friends, and it's funny because some of them can't be, and no judgment on this, but some of them don't like to be by themselves. They can't be by themselves. And I will see them fit people into their lives that don't fit them.
Yeah.
Like I'm outside looking in going, that's not you. That's not you.
Right.
And it usually fizzles down the road. Not always. I mean, you never know. But so not passing judgment on that, but it's trying to figure out is I want that person to know who they are so they can attract the right person.
And to that point, don't second guess when it feels right.
Correct. Well, I don't know. I'm guilty of that one. No.
Well,
I'll let you talk on this one. Go ahead.
Well, because I'm thinking about the dating, right?
Yeah.
And to your point of Isaac, my husband, it felt different. And therefore, I knew it was right.
Oh, that's sweet, though. Isaac.
But it was a different...
It's a different
It was
feel.
just different.
But it's still the same gut. It's the
yes,
God button
it's
in your
telling
belly.
you, yes, this is right.
Yep.
No, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you're going to listen to one, you have to listen, because then we get into, I'm going to talk myself out of a good thing. Don't do that either.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that all day long.
Yeah.
I will talk myself out of good things all day long. No, I think we're programmed to like what's wrong. And I'm a business strategist.
Yeah.
My job is to poke holes in things
Yeah.
and figure out what doesn't work and how we can improve it. And I had a therapist once tell me that she's like, what makes you so good at business makes it harder for you personally.
Yeah.
Because I'll be like, what's the motive and what's this and what's behind it? And so you've got to figure out, and that was a lot of the growth, the last decade for me was trying to figure out how that fit, how that worked together. Because it is some of the things that can be an absolute asset and strength in one area of your life, you've got to make sure you've got the counterbalance to that in the other.
Yeah.
So like you said, listen to the good, but also, heed the bad when those buttons get pushed as well. I like it. So, all right. So when looking at being authentic self, knowing yourself, so the first and foremost is to figure out what that is for you. So how do you tune out everybody else saying you should, you need to, you ought to? Because we hear that all the time. I get it too because my personality is so strong. I get you're such a strong personality. Not everybody can handle it. And I literally at this point, it's probably been when the last couple of years, I'm like, all right, they don't have to handle it.
Yeah.
Not my people. So I've probably said not my people more in the last couple of years than I have ever. So I've gotten where I can tune it out, but how can most people just be like, you know what, this is me. It's like the song from Greatest Showman, which I have on my playlist in the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would offer to sing it, but it's not good.
My mind, and it's you, but it's also having that one person to bounce things off of.
Excellent point. Yeah.
So even in the collective group, there's probably one that always sticks out that you jive with on like the scale of 1 to 10.
Sure.
You're like a 9 with them, or maybe everyone else is a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
That no matter what you say, that person's not going to view you
any different.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's someone that you've had history with, right? Like that they've been through what through what you've been through, and they can kind of say, yep, I think this is, I see what you're saying, but I think once you get into it, you're not going to like it. Yeah. Or, you should try that because it aligns with.
Yep. And I think those people, I have a guy friend like that it's probably one of the few people that can call me out on things that I don't immediately go, what, and just get offended by it.
Yeah.
But because I know the care and concern is there and it's very genuine. So you're right. It's kind of that balance, but you know who the person is. Like you kind of know who your person is that can do that for you. That's a good point in terms of really trying to have a balance check with all this. Cause it's not easy. We want to be, as a people, we want to be liked and appreciated, and we want people to want people to want us around, you know, and need us.
And sometimes it comes back to affirm me, right? Like I'm this opportunity is before me. I'm pretty sure it's good for me, or I'm pretty sure it's not, and I should turn it down.
Right.
That one person is good to kind of give a non-biased look at.
Yeah. And we need that, because
not.
Otherwise you tend, I don't know if you do. All right. I'll give you a child example, the grown-up example. Grown-ups, you tend to go to the people that you know are going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
You did great. This was good. I think this is a great message. When I was a kid and I wanted to do something, so mom and dad.
You knew which parent to ask.
Mom and dad, you know, I knew which parent to ask.
Yep.
I totally knew which parent to ask, because my dad, and I call him out on this. My mom was the disciplinarian, as am I. My mom was the disciplinarian. My dad was the more agreeable one.
Yeah.
So if I would ask my dad, and it was something he was going to let us do, be like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, do that. But if it was something that they were going to say no to, you know what he would do? Little stinker. Go ask your mother, because he knew she'd say no.
She would say no.
And he didn't have to be the bad guy. And it took me a lot. I called him out on this like probably 20 years ago. I'm like, you were a little bit of a stinker growing up. But it's true. Like, we know the people that are going to be like, oh my God, that's so great, so great, so great. And then we know the people that are be like, you know.
Yes.
So that's important. We need both.
Yeah.
We definitely need both.
Yeah.
I mean, you need your honest opinion friends that you can go to. And then you need your ones that
they're going to tell you like it is.
Yeah. I tell people in coaching that my job is to pat you on the back when you do well, and kind of dust you off and shove you back out the door when you need some encouragement. So that's that. All right. So what's your biggest tip for becoming you? Kind of growing in, developing into the clear vision of you as a person.
Take note. Write it down. Keep a journal, if you will. Put it in your brain of what your feelings are in certain situations. Really get real with yourself on what you like, what you don't, what you are willing to put up with, right? Because we all have problems.
For sure.
It's which problem are you willing to put up with?
Yeah.
And which are you not? Get serious about those. Get focused on those, and don't let others convince you otherwise.
Yep. I think that's great. Mine would be follow the gut, for sure, and be unapologetic about following it. Meaning, like, if you've decided you're for me or you're not, go with it. Yeah. This is for me, whether it's a person, a thing, I don't care what it is. Follow your gut and be unapologetic in doing that. And just tell, I mean, it's fine to say, this isn't for me. You're not for me.
Yeah.
This particular client is, whatever it is, but be unapologetic in doing that.
Yeah.
I like it. Awesome. Well, Whitney, thank you for being with us today.
Good show as always.
I like it. All right. Well, everybody, keep pushing past those limits and really, really work on being your authentic self so you can show up, live life, and have a lot more fun. Till next time, we will see you soon.